Let's just say you post 7 IG stories and they're all 60 seconds. That's 7 minutes that one individual is watching your content. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's unlikely that they're gonna watch all 7 minutes. But if you want to kind of change the flow a little bit, throw in something different in between those 60-second stories. Maybe a boomerang video. If you want to throw in a photo, you can throw in even a smaller video that you know that you've edited to a shorter amount of time. Maybe something that's from a different angle or even has a different type of engagement stick, as you were just stating. Interrupt the flow of the 60-second stories, because when you do that, the individual watching won't realize how long they're actually watching just your content.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love to do time lapses, or like, oh, I haven't done a story in a while, let me pop up a time lapse. Because you can reuse them. Like, people aren't gonna be like, oh my God, Sarah, wasn't you wearing that last week? Like, it doesn't, like, you can reuse them. Like,
today, my special guest is none other than Sarah of Social and Stuff. We're going to be discussing IG stories, specifically how to optimize 60-second IG stories. It's the brand new feature that Instagram has just released. Myself and Sarah are going to kind of get into how to best use it, because what I think that we want to make sure we don't do is post like 10, 20 IG stories and they're all 60-second length. That's pretty much a lunch break for some people. And we do not want to take up that many people's time. We want to make sure that we optimize IG stories to get the information and the value to our users and build relationships as well. Right, Sarah?
Yes, exactly. And I feel like how we utilize stories now is different now that Reels is on the scene. So it's like a great topic to talk about, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, like, what's the difference between Reels and stories? Because they're both like, you know, vertical short form videos. So it's good to like know how to distinguish the two and chat about it.
I want to know initially, Sarah, you know, we had an idea that this feature was coming. Instagram stories first launched so many years ago. I believe it was about 2016, 2017, about when they borrowed it from Snapchat. Technically an original feature, but brought over from another platform. And when it was introduced then, it was given to us in 15 seconds. But now Instagram is obviously moving forward towards a more video-focused platform. And they pushed this recently for everybody to now have 60-second IG stories. I want to know, what are your first initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that it's good, but it's also a little bit of a struggle for people to not be so long-winded. That sometimes I feel like the 15 seconds kind of like kept people a little bit more on like track a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can kind of like film one, okay, this is my first tip, on to the next. So I think it just kind of takes us to like reconfigure how we're going to do it. But I think that it's a nice feature because a lot of people might tune into your 60-second story and not even realize it, because it just kind of keeps on going.
That is a great point.
If they logged on to your stories and they saw like 20 tabs, they might be like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not watching 20 stories. So I think that a lot of people are probably consuming the 60-second stories without quite realizing it.
That is a really great point, because it's not like Instagram tells you, okay, this one is 15 seconds, this one is 45. And, you know, next thing you know, you've lost your entire lunch break because you watched one person's 20 IG stories and each one was about a minute. I kind of feel like you in regards to it, though. I'm a little impartial. I've always tried to believe in the concept of less is more. And I didn't mind the 15 seconds, even if they were broken apart where we weren't able to fully capitalize on the time. You know, if you had something that was worthy of talking about for 60 seconds or more, it was just split into 15 seconds. And I think one of the benefits of that was maybe if you're like 3 stories into it and you've missed something, you can just simply slide back and you only go back 15 seconds. Whereas now, if you're midway or more than midway in a 60-second IG story and you miss something, you got to replay that entire IG story from the beginning. And it kind of gets a little annoying. I agree with what you're stating, that we have to monitor exactly how we use it. We don't want to alienate our users, because if they feel like they're wasting too much time on 1 or 2 pieces of content, they're going to easily skip off. Now, let's get into the idea of actually using these 60-second IG stories, because like we kind of stated earlier, we don't want to just post 10 different IG stories and they're all 60 seconds. There are ways to optimize to kind of keep people's attention, actually make them engage more. And myself and Sarah are going to discuss now some of the tips for superior ways on how to actually use 60-second IG stories.
So I would say my first one, I mean, it's kind of like any type of video we are going to do, and that is to have a really strong hook to get people to know what they're going to be watching and know what they're going to be watching and want to stay and watch. So just like making sure you're starting your story with like high energy as opposed to just like, hey, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like just like get to that hook right away. Like what is the juice of that story about and leave with that.
I like that because it works for almost any form of video, whether it's Reels, IG stories, live.
Yeah, get to the juice. Just like whatever your main point of your video is going to be, just start with that. You know, there's different formulas that you can follow for sure, but if you kind of have your concept in your head, like what is the main juice of that topic to just like hook them right in there. Yeah,
absolutely. Now my first one kind of touches on that a little bit. Now you got to have the hook. The hook is going to attract the individual, but I think it's also the way that you present it. And what I mean by that is, are you editing video to be IG stories? And I think that's something that is untapped. A lot of people haven't really actually considered. I've actually just started doing this. Now that we have 60-second videos, I've actually started using the Reels editor, creating my video there, and then downloading it and then reposting it as an IG story. Now what that does is it gives me the opportunity to edit different angles of the video, kind of cut it up a little bit. It might seem like it's actually different IG stories because in one scene I'm in one place, in another scene I got a different angle. I might even have text on it on one screen, on one scene, and then I might not have text on another. It's because I've edited it using the built-in video editor that we technically use for Reels. Now, when I do that, what ends up happening is it kind of creates a hook visually because now I'm enticing you visually from different angles. You kind of are keeping attention. It's a pattern interrupter. And the more you can kind of use that type of technique, it's the more likely individuals will stay on your video longer. In regards to the 60-second IG stories, there are so many other techniques. What is your last strategy and tip that you would have for us to actually use and optimize 60-second stories?
Another one I wanted to say was to utilize the stickers, like the engagement stickers, create a poll in there. Those are, so many times we'll like forget to use them, and then every time you use them and people interact with them, you're like, oh, why did I get out of the habit of using these? Because this is just like handed to us on a platter to have our audience directly engage with our stories. So I would say trying to implement using the polls and the emojis, like anytime you can kind of use one of those interactive stickers, because that will just signal to Instagram as well that people are engaging on your content, which then, you know what I mean, then your story might get pushed ahead more because Instagram deems us worthy to show it to us.
I like that, deems us worthy. Yes, because you're going to praise the algorithm in a way.
Yeah,
the algorithm. I like that. Yeah, that's a really key one. Engagement. Awesome. My last strategy, it's a little bit different because we're talking about 60-second IG stories. But like I kind of stated, we don't want to have a continuous series of just 60-second IG stories. Let's just say you post 7 IG stories and they're all 60 seconds. That's 7 minutes that one individual is watching your content. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's unlikely that they're going to watch all 7 minutes. But if you want to kind of change the flow a little bit, pattern interrupter, as I stated earlier, throw in something different in between those 60-second stories. So when you want to throw in like maybe a boomerang video, if you want to throw in a photo, you could throw in that for 15 seconds or even less. You can throw in even a smaller video that you know that you've edited to a shorter amount of time. Maybe something that's from a different angle or even has a different type of engagement sticker, as we were just stating. Interrupt the flow of the 60-second stories, because when you do that, the individual watching won't realize how long they're actually watching just your content, because you're giving them different things to engage with from different angles, different pieces of content and context. So my idea, my last strategy is to actually interrupt with different forms of stories other than the 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love to do time lapses, or like, oh, I haven't done a story in a while, let me pop up a time lapse. Because you can reuse them. Like, people aren't going to be like, oh my God, Sarah, wasn't she wearing that last week? Like, it doesn't, like, you can reuse them. Like, so anytime you're kind of working, I love to just get in the habit of filming time lapses, because you can use those for stories, reels, that kind of stuff.
Let's do it. That's what I'm talking about. Those are 4 strategies for you guys to go ahead and take and optimize your IG stories for 60-second IG stories, because we don't want to waste anybody's time, especially those that are spending time with us. We didn't force them to go to the IG stories. They decided to watch them, and we want to kind of give them some value, some entertainment, education, and try to obviously make them stay longer on our stories. So with these tips, I hope that you guys take them, move forward, and as I always say, step your gram up and improve your content. If you enjoyed that conversation with myself and Sarah, show a little support by hitting that like button, smash that subscribe button, and please ring the notification bell so you won't miss my latest YouTube video. If you're looking for more IG story information, look no further than the playlist that's on the screen, all about how to increase your reach, boost engagement, and more. Hope to see you there.